Now we'll get into last weekend's cards. The first fight last weekend was Alex Perez's debut in the bantamweight division.
Yes,
he was previously a ranked fighter in the flyweight division and came up to 135 to fight Mark De La Rosa. And Mark De La Rosa got made to look like a fool, I guess. I mean, he was on the bad side of ground and pound for damn near 15 minutes.
You know, coming in with him, I thought he was going to do a little bit more than he did. But Perez, very impressive just to make it to where I'm going to take you down the mat all 3 rounds. I'm going to score points. By the way, I'm going to make sure pressure's on you so you don't really get to do anything that you want to do, like takedowns or anything else. He basically made De Rosa not have anything that he could use against him. There was never a time that Perez was like, I need to back off, I need to chill out.
Yeah, every once in a while he'd throw a half-ass submission attempt, but nothing that was really scary. I didn't feel like. And
a fight
Perez was lighting him up from on top.
He was. There was and you know, that might be again what we always talk about when guys fluctuate between divisions. You get to find out what division maybe you like more, what division you get more tactics out of. I honestly think he just overwhelmed La Rosa, and I think it's a perfect example of Mark De La Rosa is not ready where he's at right now. He's on a 2-fight streak that just got snapped. At the same time, Perez, who made his octagon debut to a loss against Joseph Benavidez, you know, he's got a lot of opportunity now from this. I just think, honestly,
another guy who,
oh yeah,
if you lose your first one in the UFC and then you start the winning streak,
he's right there, and especially coming up a weight class. And my thing that I hated to see. This fight was not a fight I wanted to see this card open up with, but I felt so happy for Perez because everything fell in line for him. New weight class, new domination, new opportunity.
Yeah, he looked good. He looked good for sure. The next one we want to talk about was Marina Moroz and Sabina Matzo.
Yeah, you know, another one that when it started, I was like, okay, we got 2 girls here that, you know, have had some experience, you know, obviously throw a lot of kicks, throw a lot of options, but takedown attempts just were not successful for Moroz. I really think her striking output was just a little bit different. It was a little bit less. Matzo eventually found herself on her back, and that was basically it. Once she had that happen, Moroz, you know, basically went in and said, hey, I'm going to take advantage of you. Got obviously her nose bleeding there, so that obviously is a factor, kind of like what we talked about in the Yana fight. You break your nose, or let's say your nose is bleeding, it's something that's not going to help your breathing, not going to help your cardio. Honestly, I think for Moroz, that was a huge fight to win because that snapped a 2-fight skid for her. And obviously, too, at her first fight was at flyweight. So this fight was at flyweight. So that shows maybe she found her right weight class. She said she felt good. She said she felt a lot more powerful. Again, an example of somebody that comes in, finds their weight class. Wasn't the most exciting fight, but again, I'm rooting for people that change weight classes and do something, and she did something. She won. Sabina, I think she could have been there, but I don't think she did enough to even give a chance at winning a decision, honestly.
And probably the biggest surprise of the night was the fact that Casey Kenny came in and beat Ray Borg 6 days after he had just won the championship of his previous organization.
I'm amazed they allowed that, honestly.
Or I guess 8 days.
It doesn't matter. It's under 2 weeks.
Honestly, I don't. There's no way that anyone ever has an 8-day medical suspension from the UFC fight.
0.
Even if you don't take any damage at all, they're giving you like a 30-day medical suspension or something.
Just a review in case something happens. Look, you said it best last time. Ray Borg needed a fight. Ray Borg has had fights that not have happened that were guaranteed to happen, and unfortunately between the Connor bus incident and just him in general having his other stuff going on with opponents, they wanted to see a fight for him to win, to get back in, to have his name out there for his child who has had some unfortunate stuff, and I feel so bad for him. I don't like seeing what happened in that fight because exactly what happened when you push against the grain so hard, I almost feel like the hype for Ray Borg, especially after missing weight, it didn't make sense anymore.
This was a bantamweight fight, right?
Yes.
And Ray Borg's been fighting at flyweight.
Yes, that's my point.
He missed his bantamweight fight by 3 pounds, I think?
2.5.
2.5?
Almost 3.
So he had to forfeit 30% of half of his purse because he only got half of his purse because he didn't get the win. That's unfortunate.
It's to me, every scenario in that did not make sense, but we all know with heart why we're doing it. Ray Borg has been through absolutely crazy shit that none of us have been through. He's been trying to find fights, make fights happen, they don't happen, but the sheer fact that you're in bantamweight, like you said, and you didn't make your weight, you also didn't do anything in the fight to make yourself stand out that you can win this. And by the way, you have to put in your head, we all love underdogs. I do, at least. I love seeing an underdog win. Casey Kenny has 0 to lose in this. I come in, I knock this guy out. Obviously, I'm going to have my name out there. I'm going to be really excited to have my name put into serious contention down the road. I lose, everybody already expects me to lose. So Ray Borg has to put that in his head. I am going to fight a guy that's going to do everything tooth and nail to beat me. Ray Borg did nothing to stop that. I really don't think. I know the decision was 50-50. Ray Borg fighting a guy that came in on 8-day notice in that weight class after you missed weight, there shouldn't even be a first round. You have to make it to where that guy didn't even have a chance. That guy should not be even fighting in your caliber.
Is that true, though? What does this say for Casey Kenny?
It shows obviously how talented he is.
Yeah, he may be the next dude.
But that's what I'm saying. All I wanted to say is, as an underdog, he did everything he should have. Ray Borg did everything opposite. Ray Borg should go out there and say, this guy's not even in my class.
Yes.
This guy shouldn't even be fighting me. And by the way, I should be making weight. I'm not fighting at flyweight. I'm fighting at bantamweight. I should already be ready for this class. Ray Borg did nothing. That's where I have a huge problem with this fight is I want to support Ray for his family. I can't support you doing everything wrong up to the fight and expecting you to win.
Yeah.
Decision points or not. There was takedowns by Ray. There was takedowns by Kenny. I don't give a fuck. Finish the fight so nobody's awake except you at the end of it. That's all I want.
Right. I don't think Ray Borg did enough to be upset with the decision the way that he is. But I understand why he'd be frustrated. Yeah. But like I said, this is a big deal for Casey Kenny. He just became a 2-division champion in LFA. He
came over.
He came over and beats Ray Borg, who, like I said, this was a bantamweight fight, but as a flyweight has about as much name pool as anyone.
I was just going to say he's a recognizable name in the industry. You're always going to know. And trust me, that's not going to help Ray Borg staying in the flyweight. You better be comfortable at bantam and learn your weight now, boy, because right now there's not going to be a flyweight after that.
Right. So now I mean, I think this looks good for Casey Kenny, and if he gets a couple wins against ranked opponents. Well, we'll see what happens with the top of the bantamweight division.
Yeah, that's going to change a lot here in a couple weeks.
If the flyweight division sticks around and he goes down to fight flyweight, he's going to get big fights right away.
Absolutely.
So that's a big one for him. Following that fight, Kevin Holland beat Gerald, I believe, Mearstart by a split decision.
Yeah, my thing is, I've seen fights with Mearstart before with Gerard. He has got exhausted and kind of blown his tank early, and I saw that happen again. Trust me, he had a lot of good attempts for submissions, a lot of ground movement, everything else. Holland took advantage of him once he got tired, and he basically kicked out the leg of him and put in a trip, and then all of a sudden the momentum swung to Holland where he goes, I got control, I can start throwing chokes around, I can start throwing, Kimura stuff. And by the way, Gerard's already tired, so he's on the ground, using even more energy. So if he does stand up, he's not going to have the energy and the defense that he normally had at that point. So I honestly think Holland played a great game to basically say, I'm going to touch you up, I'm going to get my points where I can, you're tired. If I can finish you, great. If not, you've not really done anything in a round and a half. I know that the funniest thing to me at the end is Holland said, he goes, I don't like fighting fights that aren't stand-up trade back and forth.
Yeah.
But you know what I love doing? Is beating a guy at their own game. Gerard is a ground guy. He likes putting people in those submissions, putting you in an arm and head choke. Basically, Holland reversed that on him and said, I'm going to go do it to you now. So it's kind of cool to see a guy say, I'm going to play your level and I'm going to beat you at it. He didn't choke him out. He didn't fucking ground and pound his face in. He won by decision. He did what he needed to. Mearstart is not a fucking small name in the middleweight division, but a loss like that really hurts him because now Kevin Holland just basically made you tired in a match for no reason. It's obviously not going to help Meerschaert, and Kevin Holland can be considered somebody that, well, maybe let's give him a little better fight and see if he can do that again to somebody a little bit more talented.
Yeah, I heard him say that he didn't like how much grappling
he didn't. He said, I'm against it.
Too much. It was too intimate for him.
Yeah. He said, I don't want to be up next to you touching cheeks and touching elbows. He goes, I want to trade and bang, which guess what? Who doesn't want to see that in the middleweight division?
What people want to watch.
Yeah, so let's go ahead and do it.
Yep. Following that fight, Kevin Aguilar beat Enrique Barzola also by decision. What do you think of that?
You know, there was a lot of jabs and hooks up front from Aguilar to the body, which, to me, he was being the aggressor. So he was touching him up. He was giving the punch and kick volume. Even his corner told him, hey, to work your wrestling defense. You're touching him up. He's going to come inside on you. He's going to try to take you down, score some points, ground and pound. A lot of straight punches that just basically were good shots that counted points. There were some hard shots, but these guys were trading giant shots and not landing. So you can swing 50 shots in a row and hit one of them. It's not going to score well on the card. So there was no wrestling advantage at all for Barzola. So really, Aguilar touched up on the points. He looked fresher. He looked cleaner. He threw a lot more hooks and jabs, like I said. So he looked like the presser during the fight. Again, I hate to see that so many decisions in a card, especially at featherweight, man. We've talked about it. They're so fast.
You're going to get a lot of decisions at featherweight.
Well, you are, but the speed a lot of times, even though with the lighter weight, you hope there's a couple guys in there that can take people's heads off.
Or wrap them up and choke them out.
Well, it's a reason why I've been talking about why I love Marlon Vera from bantamweight. I think Marlon Vera moving up to a featherweight would be fantastic because he likes to throw those hands. He has big punches. He's going to trade with guys like this, and I can promise you, whether it's him or somebody else, they're not going to go to decision. I want to see more, we're going to talk about it later. We've had a lot of guys in featherweight. When you have these guys unranked, I hate to see decisions here because either one of them knocks one of each other out. That's an absolute monster image for everybody to see in that type of card. But same time, it's a great card. At least the guys were interactive. It wasn't wrestling for 15 minutes on the ground and someone landed one elbow and you're tired.
And then one of the biggest upsets on the card was Desmond Green's performance on Ross Pearson. He's a plus 325 underdog. And he knocks him out in the first round, or I guess a TKO by stoppage, but he looked very impressive.
I'm pretty upset, honestly, from watching Desmond that he was considered an underdog. And this is nothing against Ross Pearson, but this is not Ross Pearson's second year in the UFC, okay? Ross Pearson has been around and has fought Uriah Faber. So if anyone knows, Uriah Faber has been retired almost 3 years now. Ross Pearson has been around, yep, we know, we talked about that. Ross Pearson has been around, okay? Ross Pearson is tough as nails. He's tatted up. He looks tough, everything else. Desmond Green is coming in trying to make a statement. Ross has to realize that. You can't be talking shit towards him and as fast he was. And I tell you what, you think Ross Pearson's cut up. Desmond Green looked fucking great.
He was shredded.
He was shredded. His head with the dreads, he looked like the Predator, which is awesome. But I was very impressed with Desmond because, as usual, Pearson wanted to come out and trade hands. Green had no problem with that. He said, absolutely. And then guess what? When I want to try to get you inside, I'm going to clip you, put you up against the fence, and then finish him with a ground and pound. All Desmond wanted to do is have that one punch to stun Ross, put him in a vulnerable position, which he did against the cage, ground and pound him. It was over. I don't think Pearson went in with a game plan. He went in aggressive like he always does. I think Desmond bought his time, and guess what? It panned out terrific because he had a TKO victory out the gate in lightweight. That's awesome.
Yep, that looked good for him for sure. Getting into the main card, we watched Sadiq Yusuf defeat Shimon Moraes by decision, and I think that was correct. I think he did win.
Yeah, very dominant.
The third, but dropped the second round. He looked pretty good, but I don't know. He called out Crone Gracie afterwards.
I like that and I don't like that. That's just such a left field comment. And, I know a lot of guys want to prove their jiu-jitsu and prove their wrestling and everything else. let's match you up with some guys that are entertaining. Let's always think back to what people complained about in the early 2000s of UFC, when the grappling, when the wrestling. People don't want to see people wrestle for 15 minutes or sometimes 25 minutes. How many times you turned on a Saturday at 2 p.m. and say, hey, Mom, do you want to watch fucking NCAA Wrestling Championship? Nah. It's not that fun unless you have a family member or know somebody other. That's not a knock to NCAA Wrestling. That's why UFC has become so popular, because people say, hey, I'm going to wrestle you for one round, but next round I might knock you out. Or maybe I'll turn your arm inside out. There is different opportunities. Wrestling only has a couple. People don't want to see that. And I think that's why this was a boring fight a little bit, is there was a lot of that trying to take you to the ground, trying to smother you, and then guess what? Showing that balance back and forth, really not much got done except for, Yusuf to basically say, I controlled the whole fight. That's all it came down to.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, he looked good. I don't know if he'll get a Crown Gracie or not.
No.
But
no.
That fight, he looks good. That was followed up by Paul Craig, who defeated Kennedy Njoku in the submission with 40 seconds left in the fight.
Paul won. I just love his Scottish accent, and I love you can barely understand him. He literally sounds off Braveheart, but that's also why I like him, because that guy went from the weigh-in to the early face-offs to the final face-offs. I'm going to take your face-off. I don't think he ever stopped the pressure. His pressure and ground taking with his wrestling and his submissions, super strong. I was very impressed. And obviously, you got a submission in round 3. At that weight class of light heavyweight, you're going to be a little bit more tired. But I think Paul never gave up on his plan. Wear you down. I might take a little damage, but eventually I'm going to find my time to put you in a choke. And it was out. And it worked out perfect. And you know what? Good for Paul, because a fight like that puts his name right back into the winner's circle of people remembering who he is.
Yep, that's good. It's a win. It was on ESPN card, so a lot of people saw it. That's a good one for him. Michelle Waterson didn't get the finish, but she did look pretty good in a pretty dominant win, I thought, against Karolina Kowalkiewicz.
She's got to stay at strawweight. She said, she even said, she goes, this is the best I've ever looked. They had that E60 on her, E60, E30, like I said. She looked great, positive attitude, looked healthy. I think it's a great weight class for her because she goes up a weight class, the hands get bigger, and I don't think Michelle wants the hands. I think Michelle wants to stay to technical fight, very much what she did against Karolina. And don't fucking get it twisted. Yes, Karolina got knocked out by Andrade. I can get knocked out by Andrade, and I'm 6'2", 190. Trust me, that girl throws bombs. You miss up in that division, that's what happens. But Michelle's playing that technical fight. I think she did exactly what she wanted. Keep the distance. Don't let Karolina play her fight. Don't let her do something interesting and do something that's going to catch me off guard. Played a perfect fight. Probably played the fight that she should have played against Rose.
Yeah, she looked good. By the way, I think you're like the shortest 6'2" I've ever seen.
Thanks. Hey, man, I'm down to 169 or 179, so I don't even say 190 anymore.
No, but Michelle Waterson looked good. She came in an underdog.
Yeah.
She got a convincing win. She did say she wants a title shot, so I don't know that she gets a title shot next, but I think maybe she gets she's one out from a title shot.
You know what I'd actually love to see, but it's not going to happen, especially with Paige having the situation with her arm again. I would love to see if Paige could ever come back down the strawweight. I don't think she will because she loves that flyweight weight class and it's better for her. She doesn't cut as much weight. I would love to see her and Paige go at it. But if you're going to stay at the strawweight, there is limitless names that go in there. I don't think at all, Michelle touches anybody that's going to be in contention here soon. I think she's got to prove herself one more time because Karolina, you got to remember, just came off a monster knockout there to Andrade. So I honestly think with a win like that, Waterson moves up well. I don't know if she fights him crazy. I really think what we talked about a couple weeks ago.
We got Tatiana Suarez and Antarov.
Well, that's already happening. Contender. I think you give her reveal Zhang.
Weili Zhang, yeah.
Weili Zhang.
Yeah.
I think that, Korean, or, let's go ahead and do a fun fight there. But I think that fight makes sense because you got somebody coming back in the weight class of strawweight that's a popular name. You have Zhang that's obviously trying to go right up the rank. Yeah, she's on an absolute tear and trying to get to that belt quick. What better person? Oh my God.
Yeah.
What better fight to set up, and especially when you have two people that are not American, or they are American, not American heritage. That's an interesting fight to have. But at the same time, there is so many great fights to have. Like we said, the Tatiana fight would make sense.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of fights going on this summer that are going to change where where the rankings are, and probably the fight gets made after that.
Yeah.
But I think that she is one fight away from being a title contender.
Claudia is a great fight for her too, if they let her take someone that high, because Claudia is always enjoyable. And trust me, if you beat Claudia, you're going into a new realm of weight or basically tier class to fight against. So that'd be cool to see.
And then the next fight was Michael Johnson and Josh Emmett. Your bet for last week was on Michael Johnson as a minus 110. He looked good for the entire fight, I thought. I thought that he won every round I watched. And then Josh Emmett lit him up with 40 seconds left in the fight, and that was a big punch for Josh Emmett. That was a big punch.
One, I got to give you props because we talked about it, is you never had confidence in Michael Johnson. And I understand why. I had confidence in Michael Johnson for a couple reasons. He's been in an Edson Barboza fight that he won later in his career. He's been in monster fights like the Dustin Poirier, even a younger Dustin Poirier, and put him out. Michael also came on some really tough fights that he lost. He had the Justin Gaethje fight, which I know crushed his confidence because he thought, this is a newcomer that I'm going to show this is a new level, and that newcomer beat me. I thought Michael would come out and do exactly.
He's fought a lot of big names.
Oh my God,
Khabib.
Oh well, that alone.
All of these fights. He's.
But I have to remember those are 6-7 years ago.
Yeah.
My thing about Michael Johnson is after this last couple years, what's been going on, I thought he'd have that hunger to come out, and he did. And he had that. He did the Michael Johnson is not going to knock you out in one punch. Michael Johnson's not going to put you into submission. Michael Johnson's going to decide, I'm going to keep touching you up, I'm going to hurt you, and I'm going to wait for my opportunity to put on enough punches. And if I got to win by a decision, who cares? As long as I had the punch volume. He fucking had that. But exactly what you said. Josh Emmett played his game. I'm going to wait for some takedowns.
He was looking to make that
I wanted to wait until he was vulnerable, and he waited. And I tell you what, that was one of the best fakes I've seen to a lower body shot that he turned into an overhand right and stuck Johnson. It was over.
You see how far his spit flew?
Look good.
Like several feet.
But I have to go back and say I apologize to Josh Emmett because I really didn't think he would do what he did. And he showed, you got to remember, Josh Emmett came off a 10-month injury. This guy was out a while. He had a lot of stuff going on in his life. For him to come back and knock out Michael Johnson the way he did, it shows he's still the real deal.
For him, yeah.
He's had the Lamas knockout. Yes, the Jeremy Stevens, whether you think it's a fucking disqualification, legal knee, or whatever else, he took a punch, he went down. If he would have got back up, he could have done the same thing to Jeremy Stevens he did to Michael Johnson, and right now we're all going, well, hell, Josh Emmett could be the next big thing.
He needs to be up there.
This still made Josh Emmett the next big thing because everything that people know him to do, he did, and he finished it, and it was a terrific fight. Absolutely terrific fight.
Terrific finish. That's for sure. And like I said, Michael Johnson looked good.
He didn't finish. Michael didn't finish. Emmett did.
Yep. After that fight, Jack Hermansson defeated David Branch, and that was a quick one. David Branch was my bet coming in at I think
0-2 for you and me. Doing well.
He was even money. And that one didn't last very long at all. David Branch now is this fight less than a minute. Last fight
with Rockhold.
Less than a minute into the second round.
Or Santos and then Rockhold, correct?
No, actually, Cannonier before that.
Oh, that's right. They gave him that.
Santos, Rockhold. He's 3 of his last 4. Haven't got out of the second round. On the losing side of it, he's been struggling. I don't know where he goes from here. I mean, he came in as a World Series of Fighting light heavyweight champion, World Series of Fighting middleweight champion. But now he's 36, 37. Does he have a future in this middleweight division?
Not at all. I'm not hating on and saying what I said last week. I said David Branch would have a similar Rockhold situation. He did. And I'm not giving myself props. I'm saying that I think David Branch, when he was in World Series of Fighting, he's a big dude. He has a lot of power. He has a lot of, control. He's got his black belt. I think when he gets in dangerous or vulnerable positions, he panics. And I think that's what happened with Jack. He saw a guy panicking, all of a sudden got him down, guillotine, over, tap. He took advantage of a guy that was vulnerable, did it. Branch, on hands, will knock the fuck out of 50% of the guys in that division if you put him toe-to-toe. If he misses and someone takes him into a situation where he's vulnerable, like I said, Jack Marshman just showed that again that happens. Same with Rockhold.
So Jack Hermansson just beat the number 11 middleweight pretty convincingly. Who do you think he gets moving forward?
I got a great fight that maybe some people don't know much about because they might have forgot about it because it's happened a while ago. Bevan Lewis. Bevan Lewis just lost to Uriah Hall on a third round, absolutely monster TKO from Uriah Hall. When Uriah Hall, on paper and looking at it, might have lost to a decision. Finished Bevan. Bevan's an upcomer. Uriah Hall, came in and had been struggling and made a big statement against a younger guy to show, hey, you can't come in there. This is striker versus wrestler sub kind of type of dominant mentality. I think this is very similar to the David Branch, but you got a younger guy, show a little bit of difference. See if Jack can do the same thing to him. Plus, I watched Bevan Lewis. He's entertaining at that weight class. Let's fucking let that happen.
So I was actually thinking Uriah Hall, who just beat Bevan Lewis.
We're okay. I like both of them.
Yeah, I think both of those would be good fights. I think that's probably. I don't think he should get too much higher in that middleweight rankings.
I don't think numbers
it shows
move.
More about David Branch than it does about Jack. Well, I don't know. Equally, I think David Branch moves out of the top 15. I think he won't be ranked again without a big win.
No, he drops below. I think he drops below 20, and I think he fights a guy that's not that you have rankings in the 20s, but maybe a guy that could go to 20 in maybe one or two fights. Let David prove his way because honestly, like you said, unfortunately, at his age in a division that ruthless, he's got to win 2 in a row to be able to even say, David, come on back up here with all your boys because that fight did not help because it showed zero of his skills.
Mm-hmm. And then the main event was Justin Gaethje and Edson Barboza. And we knew it was going to be violent. And it was so violent it only lasted 2.5 minutes.
Came through always like normal. Unfortunately, you and me did not have the pick for that.
No, we both thought Edson Barboza would win. Thought he had more ways to do it. Justin Gaethje never let him get there.
No.
We both said we wouldn't be surprised if Justin Gaethje knocked him out either. So.
No.
That was a pick'em fight with two pretty impressive strikers. Justin Gaethje came out on top, and now he's looking to be at the top of the lightweight division. And the unfortunate thing is, there's about 5-6 guys at the top of the lightweight division.
Well, and you absolutely finished somebody by Barboza. And you know what's crazy? I pulled something out of my way back memory. Is that fight reminded me a little bit of Jeremy Varner when he fought Barboza. Barboza was throwing those monster leg kicks, and I loved it. He'd throw one, Gaethje said, I'll throw it back. Then I'll throw another one. It was almost like, let's see whose leg breaks. Exactly what they talked about. Let's see whose bones crumble, who crumbles, what chin. But the Varner fight reminded me because he was kicking the shit out of Varner's legs, and then Varner landed one punch, put him into a very vulnerable, finished him. Same thing happened with Gaethje. He said, I'm going to take some shit. It's going to hurt. It's going to suck, and I'm not going to want to do it. But once I get that open shot, I know I can finish him. That's exactly what he did to Barboza. I don't think Barboza did anything wrong. I think Justin Gaethje is exactly what we said. He is so violent that where he'll have his front 2 teeth knocked out as long as he can get an open shot on your face. And that's exactly what he did to Barboza. He found it and went with it. Yep.
Oh, yeah. It was a hell of a fight.
Where's Gaethje go from here?
I think the winner of Al and Cowboy. I think that's the. I don't think that Cowboy should be ranked in front of him, but both of those guys being ranked in front of him, the huge knockout over Edson, I think that. I mean, you get in front of Al and You got Dustin, who's fighting for the interim title. You got 3 guys who are inactive right now, and that's it. Kevin Lee's gone. Edson Barboza just lost. I mean, Justin Gaethje's the next guy, and it looks like that you got to fight the winner of that Cowboy Al fight, because you know that the title's not going to be resolved by then. So they'll be looking for the next contender after the interim contender, and that'd be the winner of that fight.
I had the exact same thing. The funny part is I had that as my second fight. The reason I had it as my second, one, obviously I want Cowboy or Al to fight him because, again, that's another unbelievable fight that no one's not going to turn on. You have Al raging going in, and you have Cowboy who's always entertaining. You also have to put in that little side piece that's still a little diamond that could be shimmering is Perez comes back to 155 because Perez says, I want the winner of this fucking fight. He can have that. Perez can drop back down and then still fight at welterweight. If they give him the opportunity to drop back down to 155, I would love to see Justin Gaethje against Anthony Perez. But after what he just did, I think he should stay up at welterweight. But that would be my fantasy fight. Cowboy Al absolutely needs to happen, win or lose of that.
I think Perez has said that he wanted the winner of this fight.
He did.
But I also think Gaethje said he didn't want to fight Perez. Before this fight, he said, "Nah, Perez, get out of here. You're way lower in the division than me." That's what I mean. He was like a 13th ranked.
Oh, absolutely.
Lightweight.
But he also just got off a loss to fucking Tony Ferguson.
I know, and he didn't look terrible.
Who's now in an insane asylum.
Knocked out Stephen Thompson at welterweight.
No, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, it wasn't like he wasn't Perez, doing dick there.
Gaethje said that he wanted Cowboy because he didn't think he should be ranked in front of him, and he wanted to avenge his loss to Dustin Poirier. And I guess if Poirier loses to Max, then that fight's available too. But
I don't know if Dustin's interested in that fight though. I think Dustin might play a Stipe card here. I think he's going to keep trying to go for the big fights, win or lose, until it's obvious he has to go down. But that also comes down to what happens in the next 4 months. Does Dustin lose? Does Gaethje fight again? And then they're lined up for like a November fight. That would make more sense. I think right now Gaethje's available and healthy, so he wants to fight tomorrow. Dustin's still got this Max fight to deal with. That could be a war. That could also be an outcome that maybe makes Dustin win, hypothetically, and then you're not even in my fucking name bracket anymore. I'm going to do bigger and better things.
Right. That's what I think.
Yep, I got you. What do you think about, real quick, who does Barboza fight?
I honestly think he takes some time off. Apparently he had his daughter the next morning. He was in a Philadelphia hospital.
Sure, that wasn't on his mind.
My gosh.
Jeez.
Yeah. Can you imagine going through that and then having a kid the next day?
No, absolutely not.
That night, probably?
Absolutely not.
But yeah, so he just got knocked out. He just had a kid. I'd imagine he takes a step back. Let's see, he's got 3 of his last 4 fights are losses. I mean, you're talking Kevin Lee and Khabib and Justin Gaethje. They're all
You have to put that into
fighters,
effect. You have to put that in.
I think you step back for a little bit and figure out where the lightweight division goes, because there's people moving out. I mean, Perez just moved up. Kevin Lee just moved up. Like we said, there's 3 inactive fighters at the top of the division. Yeah. The lightweight division is as clusterfuck as there is in the UFC.
It's a used car lot right now.
I wouldn't say it's a terrible time to step back, train, have some family time with your newborn, and I don't know. That's kind of what I think he'll do.
I think now hearing that news, I agree with that. I had a fight that I didn't think would happen in 3-4 months, but it could. I honestly thought he fights Gregory Gillespie.
Oh my gosh, I want to see Gregory Gillespie fight. I don't care who it's against.
but no, and that's awesome, because that's what I want to see too. My thing is, now knowing this news, plus a loss, plus his child, I need Gregory to go get another fight before that, because Greg doesn't need to sit. He's dominating. Right. He's coming up. Let's get him a fight. If Edson wanted to get right back into the winner's circles column, I say go and fight Gregory, because that's a perfect way to say, you either pass me or I beat you, and now I'm right back in the saying, let's go do some bigger things. So, wonderful card. I mean, I was really worried in the beginning, but then when that main card came on, You had everything. You had knockouts. You had subs. You had guys taking advantage of each other. You had draw-out fights that we thought were going to go to decision. And you have Josh Emmett put in the final piece on Michael. What else do you need?
Yeah, that it really got going. You had, I mean, ever since the main card started, all those fights were pretty entertaining. You did have the decision. Started off with Sudik, but
That's going to happen. That's going to happen.
I know. I mean, it was. I guess Michelle Waterson also had a decision, but that was an entertaining fight. And then back to finish it off, you had third round knockout, first round submission, first round knockout. It was a great card.
Yep.
So yeah, that was the second ever ESPN card. 2 weeks from now, we have UFC